Evie in Florida, who I'd love to tie this in considering the last call. Ooh, Evie, there's a lot of background noise there. Can you hear us?
Yes.
Hey, you're talking to Eric and Trae.
Hey. Hello?
Yeah.
Hi.
Hello.
Yeah, I'm hearing some tinking in the background, almost like a spoon stirring coffee or something like that.
Okay, so can you hear me okay without that?
We can, yes. Yeah. What would you like to talk about?
All right. I'm on my headphones, so I can turn this off. And
I think you're good so far. Let's. What did you want to call in about? It says that you are a new atheist, and you wanted to ask about how.
I'm a really nervous person, so we're gonna try not to cry. I'm already crying, so I'm sorry.
It's okay. No, take a breath. You're good.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm a really nervous person. I think the screener probably thought I was like on drugs, but I'm not. So I basically grew up in church. I mean, I always say no, not basically. I grew up in church. Like I was born in church, and it was a church in Brazil. I came to the United States when I was 13, and it was like I never realized anything about my childhood. I always said I had a really normal childhood. Bullshit. My church was a Presbyterian Pentecostal church. So I saw everything.
Did it have the whole talking and speaking in tongues, rolling in the aisles kind of stuff?
Oh, yeah, like some exorcism. I mean, not the kind that you would see like in movies or anything, but yeah, people would go in the front and claim they were possessed, and the pastor would be like, get out in the name of Jesus, and people would go up there and say they had some kind of prophecy. My mom spoke in tongues her whole life in front of me, and it sounded the same every single time. And I would try every single time, but I'm like, I can't. And they'll be like, just do it. And I'm like, but I can't. And you guys told me that the worst sin is blasphemy against
Evie, if you've got like a TV going on in the background or something, we're having trouble hearing you.
I'm sorry. My husband is talking to me. Everybody's talking to me. Can you please go in the front door for me and tell her I'm on the phone?
It sounds like she dropped. So I'm going to pop her back in the queue and see if our call screeners can help. But it said in the notes that even though she stopped believing, she still has this recurring fear of hell.
Yeah.
And she wanted to ask about it.
Yeah, well, look, I mean, I wouldn't say I have a fear of hell, but like I said, I live in California now, and I'm not a big weed guy really, but I'll partake periodically, and it ain't no joke out here, man. It's literally the edibles and stuff. You get out here, like you really, really got to watch it, especially if you don't have much of a tolerance, like I don't really. And so, like just the other night, I messed around and had a little bit too much of a weed, not even a full weed gummy. I like cut them into segments. That's how low my tolerance is. And I guess I had a little bit too much of one because I halted it before it got out of control, but I very nearly had a full-on existential crisis reading a Reddit thread about like space and the universe and stuff like that, because there was this whole thing. It was like amazing facts about the universe, and a lot of them were amazing, but a lot of them were absolutely terrifying too. And I just started thinking about nothingness, like the concept of nothingness. They were like, either the universe is infinite or it's not, and either way is insane, because like if at a certain point there's got to be some edge to it, right? And what's on the other side of that? Just nothing. What the hell is nothing? Also on the timeline before, like what even there had to be a period where there was just nothing, but like what is nothing? And like that's why I started thinking about while high, and I I almost freaked out. And it wasn't like specifically thinking about, definitely wasn't hell or anything like that, but just the concept of just like not being or whatever, as that relates to nothingness, just as a general concept. And it's like it's a lot, man. This shit is a lot to wrap your head around. She also was talking about speaking in tongues, and I think was saying how like she couldn't do it as a kid, and it was like a point of disappointment for her family or whatever. I've always wondered how exactly that works with the speaking in tongues thing, because as a non-believer, in my head, I'm looking at that like, okay, but they have to know that they're not, that ain't real, right? Like that they're just doing a thing, right? Like, but I mean, I guess maybe they don't, but my brain can't understand how their brains work with that kind of thing. It's also like with Scientology, when all the stuff came out about how Scientology levels work, and there's different levels of like operating thetans, and above like a level 3 operating thetan, according to the doctrine of Scientology, they're like literally telekinetic and stuff. They like read people's minds, and Tom Cruise is above that level, and other high up Scientologists are above that level. And again, in my head, I'm like, okay, but in their brains, like they know they can't, like they know they can't do stuff with their mind, right? Like, how do they reconcile that? And it's just like the speaking in tongues, like they got to know that they're just jibber jabbering, don't they? But like, maybe they don't. That's what I'm saying. I can't make my brain understand how their brains work in those scenarios like that one.
You know, I've talked to plenty of people I can't speak from personal experience, but from what I've seen, and from what I've talked to people, they've generally said that, and come out of it, they've said, yeah, it's learned, and you get so much reinforcement after doing it that it justifies itself and it becomes a pattern. And once you make something a habit, then you're off to the races.
Right. But do they believe it in the moment? Like if you're a kid and your parents are after you, like, and they're upset that you're not getting touched by the spirit enough to speak in tongues or whatever. And then so finally one day when you're 12 or 13 or whatnot, you just decide to go for it. And, you know, for, you know, a little while. And then afterwards, everybody's like, Trae, that was awesome. It happened. And you're all happy and all that. I get why you do it again and then keep doing it. But do you, like, inside in that moment, how do you not go, but I was just faking it, like that worked? That shouldn't have worked because I was just faking that. Just now, you know, versus being like, oh, that was the Lord in my mouth.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's another piece, and that is the interpreter. You know, so someone is speaking in tongues and somebody else goes, I've been given the power of discernment. They're saying this. And so just imagine you're blah, 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 blah. And somebody is going, oh, what they're saying is all of these really, really important high concept things. It's like, oh, you know, like I could absolutely imagine it. But yeah, I have talked to a few people who still believed it. And I remember asking them, you know, would it make you uncomfortable to realize that you were just doing it, you know, because it was learned? Because imagine the guilt and shame of looking at that and going, oh crap, I did that. Like, that's super cringy. And I don't know. I'd love to talk to more people who experienced that to see if that kind of sunk cost, you know, well, I've already done it enough. Now I can't go back, you know, if that's part of what keeps people there. But I feel you, man. I do. I think that going back to the fear of hell thing, she is definitely not alone. And you know what it reminds me of? The other day, I was walking with a friend, and I was walking on the outside of the sidewalk. And it's because my mom taught me that a gentleman walks on the outside of the sidewalk.
Right.
You know, and I remember saying, is it just with girls? My mom was like, no, you're a gentleman. A gentleman walks on the outside. That's you need to do that. If you see somebody carrying bags, you need to go and help them. Right. And even though I realized that's something my mom taught me, dude, that is ingrained. Right. It is ingrained. I get this, I need to go and help this person. I need to stand on the outside. And it when you learn something like that, it just burrows in, you know? And if this fear of hell this is the stick, right? The carrot is heaven and hell's the stick. If you're used to getting smacked with that stick enough, yeah, man, I think about, adopting a dog that's been abused. Every time you close the door, they might shudder in the corner because that's what they're used to. It takes such a long time to kind of separate those and recognize, because there's the cognitive piece, right? No, I don't believe in hell, but so why can you still be afraid of it? Because you were taught to be afraid of it. Emotionally, you got to work through it.
I think for me, where I got with hell was realizing at a certain point that it seemed to me, at least, as though like if they were right and there was a hell and it was real, almost everyone was going to be there, and so I was like, it ain't worth even trying. But I'm very close to my uncle, and my uncle's gay, and so like that was sort of like this watershed moment for me where religion is concerned, was finding out that my uncle was gay and being in a small town and periodically going to the Baptist church with people on my mom's side of the family and whatnot, and then hearing the way they talked about homosexuality and that type of thing, and kind of learning like, wait, so you're saying that like my uncle, who is one of the sweetest, kindest people on planet Earth, you're saying he's going to burn in hell for eternity because of just what he is? And like, Southern Baptists in the 90s, they'll look right in a 10-year-old's face and be like, yeah, well, that's what the Bible says, honey, or whatever. And it's like, that was, I mean, immediately, I was literally in my head, I was like, well, fuck that, like I am not with that at all. Like if that is how it works, then I guess I'll be in hell with him, because I'm not about this shit. And that was sort of the turning point for me. And I just haven't really cared about hell since. I mean, obviously I don't believe in it, but again, even the more like classic versions of it, even if they are right, then again, the way that they say it works, like I'm unwilling to, follow the rule, to do it their way to get to the other side of it. Like I'm not going to do that. And almost everyone I've ever known or certainly ever liked will be in hell too. So, we'll have a party. We'll figure it out. It'll be fine.
I think it'll be a hell of a party. But actually, you brought up a point that's perfect for our next call. And that is that you're kind of making that judgment call, right? Of if my uncle is going to go to hell, who's the sweetest fucking guy, then screw that, right?